Morning guys, I hope you're all well, feeling strong, positive, optimistic, and ready for a new video. I think it's fair to say that this is an absolute inevitability. For anyone who knows my channel, they know that I'm a big fan of the G-Shock GA-2100 or 2110, as some of them are now being released as. So obviously something else came along not so long ago. I saw it in the mall yesterday, I tried it on, I liked, I bought. It is the SKE 7ADR. SKE standing for the skeleton. This is the jelly-like transparent GA-2100, and I tell you what, I like it a lot. Let's look into it. So yeah, let's just open up the box. Let's not mess around. This is interesting for some people. This I haven't seen this in the boxes before, and it's a way in which the watch can sit inside it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I digress. Getting straight into it. I try not to mess around on this channel. Let's just get some valuable information to you guys. Comes in a new type of wrapping, which I haven't noticed before. Again, I think they're changing the packaging a bit on these. So look at this. The GA-2100 SKE, what you'll notice is this is classed as a 2100 rather than 2110 like the earth tones. These two are 2110s, and the grey is also a 2110 as well, earth tone. So actually, let me just check on the yellow. Yes, 2110, 2110, 2110, 2100, 2100, 2100. When I put it on in the shop yesterday, actually there was a couple of interesting watches in the shop which I wasn't expecting to get. You know, it's just so, it just goes to show there's so little predictability about what is going to come out in a Casio store and what they're going to release. I thought the GA-9300 was completely discontinued. What actually I came across yesterday was I'll show you a photograph, the GoldenEye GA-9300. I'm incredibly tempted to buy it. It's a rather impressive looking watch. It's pretty much exactly the same as my G9300 Mudman, but it's got gold detail and it's negative display. The only reason why I didn't buy it really is because right now I don't need that watch, and I wear my other G9300 so much. Plus it's negative display compared to the positive, and I think that means that it's less practical for day-to-day use. Anyway, so that was in the shop, and so was this. Wasn't expecting it. It was one of those wonderful moments where you just kind of walk by the window and you say, aha, I know that there's a few models in here that weren't here last time I visited. Walked in, and actually it was the day that these had arrived. So one piece in the store of this. The gentleman in the store told me that that is the way that it's working. There's no more than one piece per store of this arriving. So if you see it, guys, and you want it, it sounds like it's got a certain rarity value, that's for sure. So yes, the rarity value's there. As always with G-Shock, you never really know, about discontinuation or how much more these are going to be made. I know there's been a few comments in some of my videos that this model, for example, and this grey model are still being released on the UK website, things like that. So that suggests they're still being made and released, when there was a kind of suspicion amongst the G-Shock aficionados that they were coming to an end already after a very short tenure. So again, you just can't predict. Oh, the other interesting thing is that as you know, I'm a massive fan of the triple black, the blackout GA-2100s, so much so that I bought a kind of backup version that sits in its box all the time, just being safe, because I wear this one so much. I wanted one that was perfect as well as a kind of hand-me-down. Anyway, this model was also there. So they had one piece of this, so they're also still giving out the triple black GA-2100. Worth noting for anyone who's in the market, they will be in your stores if you're lucky and get there at the right time, if you really want one. and you'll be able to pick it up at RRP. The price, I paid for it myself yesterday. Let me just double check exactly. So you know, check my digital receipts. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, so £70, 100 USD. So RRP, fair price for such a great watch that will probably last you forever. Yes, people are saying, well, how do you know that the strap isn't going to discolor or go yellow, things like that. Like there has been rumors about that happening with other transparent G-Shocks in the past. The honest answer is I don't know, but I've never experienced it myself, so I'm willing to try. Doesn't actually bother me that much. But yeah, this is really interesting. One of the things I did notice actually when I put it on in the shop, I mean, I pretty much knew I was going to take it straight away, but I just wanted to make sure that I was happy with the overall look and feel on my own wrist personally, which is what I always advise people to do. Put it on, make sure that it suits you. Now, when you look at it like that, it actually looks a bit smaller than the grey one. Yes, there's a perspective element there as well because it's slightly further away, marginally. It looked a bit smaller. And I immediately did the test, just putting them up against each other. And you'll see they're identical. They're obviously using exactly the same mold or dimensions for a mold to make sure that the watch is, there's no difference in the dimensions or anything like that. What it is that the fact that this is transparent just gives it that softer edges around here, and the darker face means that it just looks smaller on the wrist. So if you have a particularly small wrist or something, a little bit of an advantage to this one because it does just blend a bit more or sit not quite so dramatically on the wrist. And yeah, it's beautiful. I've got to say, some of the first impressions now, admittedly, I always try and wear these things for a while before I talk about them. I'm not so much of an unboxer. I'm more of a wear it and give some genuine feedback. However, for this one, because I just thought it was an interesting enough find to just show you that I've found it, I thought I would do a kind of semi-unboxing and first impressions. And yeah, I have got a couple of things to say about it, other than that size comment, is that the strap itself and the clasp here, it's, let's say, how would I describe it? You see, if I squeeze this here, it's kind of quite soft and pliable. Let's see, this one should be even more so because I've worn it so much. About the same, actually. They've got this soft pliability about them. There is to me, it feels like there's yeah, that's for sure, that's harder here. This does not flex as much under pressure. And the strap itself has a slightly more, let's say, slightly more plasticky consistency to it than, almost like a Perspex-y plasticky consistency to it, or feeling to it than the other colored versions of the GA-2100 or 2110. To the degree where, yeah, it's arguably not going to be, for example, when you come to fit the clasp on here, it feels a little bit tighter, a little bit more play. You need to play a little bit more to get it in there. But nothing dramatic, no showstoppers. Just a little bit of a nuance. All watches are different, you know, and this is no exception. It looks very cool though. I mean, this is it sounds like a contradiction, but I think it's like an understated statement piece, because it's something special. Anyone who sees you, who knows G-Shocks, who sees it will go like, oh yeah, that's a pretty rare watch. But people who don't see it will just think it's a pretty, maybe unusual, but it's not in your face. It's not a bright color. It just sits there and it's just interesting. I think interesting is a word. I also have to say, I like the black on the bezel here in stark contrast to the the white dials, because if you see, it's the only watch in this line that I know of that has a pure black hand with the white luminosity or highlights on the hands. So it's got this like poppiness about the hands and about the black around here, and then this kind of interesting finish. How can I describe it? It's not transparent, it's not opaque. I'm talking about the bezel specifically right now. It's got a very interesting finish to it, you know. I just like it. Again, I'll use the word again, overused perhaps, interesting. This is an interesting watch, and there is no denying that the moment I saw it, I had to take it. So yeah, thumbs up all around so far. Definitely more of a fashion piece than a gym piece or a cycling piece, I suggest. Maybe a good cooking piece, which leads me on to my next part of the video. But it's, you know, I also like the way they haven't gone out of their way to make it perfect. You can still see these, you see these circles here, which, let's double check I'm not making things up. Yeah, there's no circles like that in the other GA-2100s or 2110s, but it shows basically where these, I guess they're classed as what, pressure points, or points at which the molds like press onto each other. You can see them because it's a skeleton, and I think that's very, very cool. You can imagine when I first saw it and the watch seemed smaller than the other one I had, I was like, oh, perhaps this is actually, I was confused, and this is actually one of these new GA-2100s, which is the mini version. But no, it's not. It's certainly the same size. The other thing you can consider, of course, is with this mechanism here, you can swap out the straps very easily. Let's demo that, in fact, because pops open is 2019 limited edition VICTORINOX champagne. Beautiful. Pop. Off it comes. He says, yep, off. Now, what might look nice with that? Let's say a blue strap. You know, I think G-Shock are definitely going in a direction of giving people a little bit more choice about how their watches look, and giving them some customizability, like off the shelf. There was another interesting G-Shock Square yesterday that was new, that was for sale, where you basically have a few jelly options. It was a special edition, actually. It was kind of interesting, but it wasn't for me. Then this goes on here. Pull back. I'm sure there's people right now screaming, saying, what are you doing? You're probably going to damage your watches. Well, you know, they're here to be used. Not too bothered. Admittedly, I wouldn't do this with my backup black one. That's the that's one that's staying in its box untouched as long as it can be. Scintillating entertainment here, I'm sure you agree. There you go, that goes in here. This wasn't planned, guys, hence the fact that I haven't even got I have actually got the proper official tool from this, because I own the GA-2000, which has that tool in the box with it. That's pretty cool, right? I can see that you know, being a de rigueur fashion piece in Shoreditch in London, you got to have your GA-2100 with a balloon transparent strap from now on, otherwise you're not cool. But yeah, I could put the yellow one here, the grey one on here, and just mix it up a bit. I think it's cool. I think it's a great little let's say optionality that G-Shock are doing here. I think we'll see it more because they realize that people appreciate it, and essentially it's fun. Let's face it, a lot of people love certain watches, but they end up not wearing those certain watches even though they love them so much because they just get a little bit bored of the colorway or they want something a bit different. So if you got this option to just mix it up very quickly, and you know that it's a factory supplied option which isn't going to break or let you down, it's got that G-Shock quality of it, you know, I think people really appreciate. I bet there's a much quicker way of doing this, and I'm just making a nulls up of it, but hey. Go on, you little. There you go. Blue and grey. Let's not put it on upside down. I'm liking that. Pretty cool. There you go. That will turn some heads if you were, you know, at an airport, for example, and someone who knows their G-Shocks walks by you, to go like, "What on earth is that guy wearing?" So let's summarize. I've now got, I literally need to count them because I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on a sec. I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 GA-2100s or 2110s. I love them all. I wear them regularly. This thing has barely come off my wrist in now, is it 2-3 months? 2 months. This thing's going to get a lot of wear as I start to explore it a bit more. This one I haven't worn so much because I'm actually really paranoid about scratched up on the bands, and because I love the color and the cleanliness and the lines of it so much. The lines between the light gray and the blue is cool. Less keen to get that bashed around compared to something like this, which kind of takes the damage very nicely. Not that this doesn't take the damage. I mean, just in terms of you're more likely to maybe see the scratches. It won't have that clean look anymore. Next, GA is on the list for me. I would love to say I've had my fill and I'm not gonna have any more, but honestly, there's this new range called the is it the Secret Coast? Anyway, it's these pastel colors with a transparent element to it, like a jelly element to it, and they're absolutely beautiful. There's 2 of them, and I know that when I see those, I'm going to have to get one because they are just too pretty for words, and yeah, I'm into that kind of thing. So, look, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm looking at showing you something else as well. You know, in this channel, it's not just about watches or G-Shocks. It's also about fitness and other useful tips and things that I think you might find interesting, and generally you do find interesting, the other stuff I bring along. So yeah, I have a new edge to this, which I want to introduce to you now. Thanks and take care. Oh guys, one more thing that I did mean to mention but didn't, is that, yeah, you would think when you're talking about this skeleton, the Jelly GA-2100, that the kind of objective or the main point of it is to be as light and as clear and transparent as possible. And there's just one irony in there, which I know will be done on purpose, but basically you'll notice, and I've said this numerous times in my videos now, this gray GA-2110 is the only one that I know of that has the positive LCD cluster. This does not. It has the same black as the triple black, for example. Now, I am generally fine with negative displays and G-Shocks. However, this is a particularly small cluster. If you compare it to the GWG-1000 or something like this, or the G-9300 Mudman, the numbers are significantly smaller. Therefore, when you do need to use them, for example, on your stopwatch, it's much easier if you glance down and it's that positive compared to the negative. Not a showstopper again, but a note and a consideration if you're in the market for one. I don't think people honestly buy GA-2100 with a kind of priority use case of I must be able to use the stopwatch all the time. It's, you know, just something that's handy to have if you're doing some cooking or something. However, it is worth noting, and I think I've said it before as well, if you're looking for the most practical GA-2100, 2110, this is the one that I personally would go for, and that's why it's been on my wrist non-stop for the past couple of months. Suffice to say, don't think it's a massive deal, and most people will just go for the one that's most aesthetically pleasing for them. The other thing I was going to say is I just double checked the name of the other GA-2110s that are interesting to me is Hidden Coast. So it's the Hidden Coast line. If you look it up, you'll see it's rather beautiful, and that's going to be next to my list. I could go and splice this section in midway through the video, but to be honest, my editing skills are what they are, and I'm just going to slam it on at the end. And yeah, again, hope you enjoyed some hopefully useful chat, and yeah, on to the next part. So as you'll know, if you've followed my channel long enough, you'll know I like to keep it a bit varied, provide some handy tips and useful things that I've added in my lifestyle that I feel you might appreciate, such as tying useful knots, indoor cycling tips, and kettlebells. One journey I commenced relatively recently is that of home pizza making. I'm a self-declared obsessive when it comes to Italian food, and I've been making homemade pasta for some time, years in fact. I was always reticent to try a homemade pizza, as I didn't think it was possible to make a decent pizza without a proper pizza oven. However, a few months ago, a friend introduced me to a pizza stone, and from then I have gone deep down that rabbit hole. I tend to get fascinated on a topic and observe all the information available on it, from flour selection, approaches to making sauce, yeast, and cooking times. What has surprised me, however, is that after much continual improvement, I've actually got to a point where I'm proud to serve a pizza to anyone who cares for it, as I feel they're genuinely good enough. I wasn't expecting that, but hey, it does remind me that if you put your mind to something, you really can achieve it. It's become a true obsession and a passion, and I spend a lot of time thinking about it. And I truly think that if I can teach the skills to anyone who has a bit of patience, and I'd like to try and teach you. Trust me, when you get a piping hot fresh pizza out at a dinner party or for your significant other, child, parents, etc., it blows them away. I'm by no means saying my pizzas are perfect, however, I'm confident I can help you consistently deliver a pizza that will knock your socks off. I'm asking anyone who's interested to give me a bit of time and patience in an upcoming video. And yeah, I want to teach you that kind of information and hope you enjoy that content in the future. Please let me know if you're interested.